All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are loading on to Summoner's Rift to determine who will be making it into the round of 16 of this Black Monster Cup winter. Will it be Call Gaming from UCLA, or will it be Fission eSports? It's a preview of the expansion tournament. Let's find out who wins it. Azumo, what do you make of these teams? We talked about the comps, but look at this level 1 right here. They're sticking together like glue.
5-man squad here for Call Gaming. We'll see what kind of ideas they have with this, and Abu222 should be able to spot him out. And he does, so that might put a little bit of a dent in their plans. It'll give Fission some time to put some vision down. Fission putting some vision down. Wow, okay.
There is going to be a lot of rhymes this game, I can already tell.
Yep, indivisible, the individual.
Oh, don't even get me started. We'll get into those in just a little bit. It actually is going to be a little bit more of a conventional start, but Yellow Asian guy's hanging around that blue buff. Just a second, gets a ward out as late as he possibly can. That should help them secure vision if they do go for that. It looks like it will be the choice for Lucid, Environmental, and Darkblight. Actually making a move towards this invade, but in the red, but it's spotted out pretty quickly.
Yeah, the one key to having a Fiddlesticks jungle is making sure that you have vision control early over your buffs, because the toughest thing about playing a Fiddle jungle is getting him through that early game and getting him through against strong early game comps so that he doesn't get counter jungled and can get to 6 in enough time to be able to have an impact on that early game. So I can imagine that Fission, since Ziggy plays Fiddlesticks a lot, has a lot of experience protecting the Fiddlesticks early on. But Fiddlesticks is always susceptible to being shut down early on by counter jungles and late invades.
Well, just like ganking, well, Karthus may not be the jungle, but he can still just ult whenever he feels like it. Yeah, IRS taking a little bit of damage here, but look at this. Yellow Asian guy hanging down in the bot side, and they don't spot him. This is a 3v2. If he runs in and he tumbles, Racket, oh, he's in trouble. Uh-oh. Okay, Ignite's already down. He'll get away from that one. But I don't think they expected that, and it's going to be Yellow Asian guy actually backing, not even going to teleport up.
That's a sneaky strategy, and if Indivisible had timed that bubble a split second earlier, that would have been first blood, but still, nonetheless, I think that's still a victory for the side of Fission eSports, because they're setting Vayne behind in the lane, putting her on her back foot, and also that flash being down could open up some opportunities for Ziggy to maybe go for some ganks in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and Yellow Asian guy, what did he give up for it? 4 CS difference, and yeah, he expended his teleport, but it's going to be back up by the time he wants to go down there anyways. So a really, really good move to start the game off, and Indivisible got to be careful. They do hit level 2 first, but he's taken so much poke just by getting a little too far forward, but Rockin is still making some moves as well, and he's got to be extremely cautious in this early game to deal with this bullying Lucian.
Yeah, it's one of the strengths of Sona is that she can afford to build a little AP in her runes and put out quite a bit of poke in the early game, and you can see she's doing just that.
Dude, these bubbles are like the closest misses I've seen. But yeah, as you mentioned, Xenopolis is really giving a lot of sustain here, and it's just going to be a lot of trade back between him and Indivisible. You can see the waves bouncing left and right. Mid lane, pretty boring right now, but oh, Stunopolis, wow. Okay, I thought he'd go down for just a second, but a couple of summoners spent on Indivisible, and he nearly gets popped. This is probably where we're going to see first blood, and it may be off the back of Lucid. He makes moves over there, but he gets spotted out by the ward and the Tri-Brush, so he'll have to move away for the time being.
A little bit over-aggressive there. I think Indivisible didn't realize how low his health actually was and how much damage this lane combination from Call Gaming could do. But other than that, lanes are pretty even. Wow!
Here's your counter jungling. Azingi is going to find Lucid right here, or who finds who. The drain is on, but they're getting some help from Environmental. The Wall of Pain, but it's Lucid who's feeling the burn, and he is already down pretty low. Scout of the Week, Abu might get first blood here, and he does! Double buff transfer complete, and they get the bubble up onto Environmental. They should be able to get even more. It's 2 for none, and Azingi helps get that one. 1 kill to him, 1 kill to Abu, and they combo up huge.
That was a really smart move by Azingi. He actually, as soon as he saw Lucid EQ combo in, he hesitated, but he said, well, if his EQ is down, then he has no way to interrupt my drain. And people underestimate how long that drain actually is. It is really potent early on. You could see Lucid took more than half his health and damage just from that drain, and a great collapse by 2 members from Fission, and they're able to pick up 2 kills really early. And that's going to be a big swing and a big early advantage for Azingi and Abu.
Yeah, absolutely massive, and you know, it's really hard to invade that jungle when you can't trade damage effectively. They got some help from Abu. He was on the wrong side. I think Lucid had the right idea on paper, but he just didn't have the damage.
A little bit unfortunate for them, but I said earlier that Fiddlesticks is really susceptible to being counter-jungled early game and being shut down. And I think
not a Zingy.
Not a Zingy. I said
Zingy counters everyone.
Fission is just so good. Uh-oh.
Here he comes, Yellow Asian guy. That's going to be Darkblight, though, feared on up, and they have the stun. Excellent use of the Equilibrium Strike, the drain, and that's going to be a pickup. Meanwhile, down in the bottom, they'll try to answer with the Dragon. Should be able to get that. Really no one there to contest, so good capitalization by Call Gaming, but nonetheless, Fision is really running this early game despite it.
Yeah, they made the conscious effort to go for that top lane, which I'm not sure if that's the right choice. It's great in being able to set Darkblight behind, but he has his teleport up, so he's going to be able to get that, and has no reason to hold on to that teleport because they're going to be able to pick up the dragon as well. So overall, Call Gaming actually comes out on top of that because the dragon is worth quite a bit more gold than just one kill up in the top lane, but still, Fission managing to hold on to a slight lead.
Yeah, just a little bit for the time being. Now IRS coming out and trying to get some moves onto Rockin here, but there's so much sustain, as you mentioned, and Rockin is able to tumble away from the bubble. So a really solid early game Vayne play, and he's keeping up with IRS's farm right now. Really, really well done. The sustain he gets Ostinopolis is really paying dividends too.
People sometimes, I think, have a little bit of a misconception that Vayne's laning phase is pretty... Whoa, Abu!
Let's talk about it right now because Abu just melts Environmental, and he couldn't quite get the damage out to follow up, but wow. One flash, one ult, one ignite.
Abu
well, didn't ignite yet, but...
Abu doesn't even take enough damage for him to be able to pick him up with his ultimate, so that's just great play by Abu. And also... Oh, Yellow Asian guy going in for a little bit of engagement on the top lane. He's having a little bit better of a time against the Maokai this game.
Yeah, and I think Aurelia is a pretty solid choice as well. His Rumble was actually a little bit underwhelming in the laning phase, but then again, you know, doesn't always matter if you're able to team fight it out. And Darkblight having a little bit of trouble himself, and he will get his ult on the Maelstrom, helping to deal some damage. The Karthus ult has to flash away. Asian guy, no, he goes in for round 2. Not sure if that was the right decision, though, as he was spotted in the brush, and it's going to be a game of cat and mouse for just a moment. Can he get away? He's certainly trying, but the minions are in hot pursuit. So is Darkblight, and he's going to have that twisted advance in just a moment. Has the ward down, knows where he goes.
He's not fast enough.
He's not a fast tree. That's absolutely correct. Oh, don't go clear that ward.
Now he can't even go in that bush because he'll take too much damage. He has to wait or go all the way around. That's awkward.
He's going to just pop a couple pulls of his flask for a second, so yeah, that was a really awkward minute, but it's going to get even worse here because here comes Lucid down in the bot, finding Eye on the IRS. Indivisible, they know they've caught the fish, but Azingi is already here for the return effort. Rockin, he's not going to be able to get away from this. Maybe he can. It's actually Stunopolis they find, and there is the condemn backwards, but they've already finished off Lucid, and the Crowstorm does help them secure one pick. Should be able to get a tower. No dragon to take. They're not even interested. They're looking for blood right here, and Abu is in chase as well. They might find Stunopolis. They have to flash away from that as he did get out. One really critically forcing them to move away, and this should be an easy tower.
Fission making moves right now. Fantastic counter gank by Azingi. Good reaction by IRS to flash that EQ combo. I was questioning their aggressive positioning without much vision on that riverside for Lucid to come in. I think they went in and then said, uh-oh, here comes Jarvan. And they had to get out of there really quick, but it ended up being pretty beneficial for them. Azingi is on a great track to having a really strong mid game, and Abu as well. He's a little bit behind in CS, but 2 kills to 0. It's looking pretty good for Fission.
Now, on the other hand, Environmental is having a real rough time getting solo killed up, and well, I mean, Karthus is not the most orthodox choice, but as you mentioned, it was one that was preferred by Environmental. He was able to answer while everyone was hanging down bot by getting the turret to about half its health, but it makes you wonder how much he's going to be effective in these team fights. He's probably going to spend a good chunk of his time dead, but then again, Karthus likes that just fine.
One of the only champions in the game that benefits a little bit from being dead. I guess Sion could be clumped in that category now.
He's like almost dead now.
Yeah, he only does damage when he's dead. I mean,
when he's about to dead.
Yeah, Sion is only does damage if he's on the enemy team.
Actually, but not necessarily here. And Yellow Asian guy and Darkblight will continue to trade out, but this time it's a very different top lane matchup. This is a very different Maokai player as well. Darkblight not seeming to really play that bullying style that we saw preferred in the last game.
Well, also, I think Yellow Asian Guy is just a little bit more comfortable on the Aurelia pick than he is in the Rumble. You can see him going aggressive at times, which is just not something that we saw from him on the Rumble play last game. Yeah.
He had 3 bans against him in the last game, so that was a little rough.
Yep.
Well, and as it stands, though, Fission is definitely trying to push this edge they have early game. Dragon will be up in a minute. They should be able to contest this one pretty easily, but right now they're looking to try and make a tower dive out of it. I'm the IRS and Indivisible hanging off the backside of Zingy as well in lane. It looks like they'll just move towards the Dragon. Still a minute to go, but they are going to try to get a little counter jungling on while they wait.
Yellow Asian Guy and Darkblight are having a little bit of a scuffle up here.
It could end either way, to be honest, but Asian Guy doesn't really want to take this right now. Maybe he does. As soon as he gets low enough to pull the Equilibrium Strike, he thinks about it, but he's not going to use it just yet. Might use the time to back. Meanwhile, Indivisible is going to help IRS and Azingi chase down Rockin', but he's going the wrong way and has to actually flash, running through the Fission jungle right now, and he aggroes the white. I'm not sure why, but he keeps on running right here, and Azingi is in hot pursuit. Meanwhile, the remaining members of Call Gaming are moving up to the top to try and help out Darkblight. It's only going to end one way, I think. And Rockin' should be able to pull off this execute. It looks like it's going to happen, but Yellow Asian Guy, not so lucky.
Yeah, Rockin' actually does get the execute, so that's going to be beneficial for them, but Fission's just pushing straight up this mid lane. They do have a wave, so they should be able to trade these turrets, and they might even be able to get a second tier if they push quick enough, or maybe just head on over and break off for the Dragon, which seems to be like it's going to be the likely choice.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty smart one. They will trade turrets top for mid. They got 1 kill on the side of Call Gaming. They really needed the gold in their pocket, and they gave up on 1 on the side of Fission, but they will be able to secure this Dragon. Really no way they can contest this. And, you know, if there's one thing I've been impressed about right now, it's in all these games today so far, it really has been Fission's warding. They may not have the best sense of denial, but, man, they really control the areas that they want to have something in.
And that's really crucial for playing with a Fiddlesticks jungle, and I can imagine that's something that they practice a lot just because of that one pick alone. I think more teams should pick up Fiddlesticks as a jungler in their repertoire, just because it sort of trains you to have better vision, because you can't get good Crowstorms off without good vision, and not only offensively but also being able to protect your cast and make sure that you're coming in as a surprise. Having good vision control is key, especially with the Fiddlesticks.
Speaking of, I'm actually a little bit disappointed we don't get to see that particular skin, too. Every time there's a Fiddlesticks in game, I secretly hope it's a surprise party.
Yeah, I think Azingi has like a dice that he rolls that tells him what Fiddlesticks skin he's supposed to use that game.
Is that how he does it? Okay.
Yeah, or the CLG spin wheel, but Azingi edition, where he gets to choose by random which Fiddlesticks skin he plays for each particular game.
Yeah, but then again, if you're like 5 out of 8 of those, you have to just like constantly be rotating around different lanes. But then again, he ganks pretty well. Asian Guy is finding a little bit of trouble with Darkblight right now. There is a level of disadvantage going for him, so he has to try and kite this one out. Does burn a couple of his Transcendent Blades, and he goes on in for round 2 as Azingi comes to his rescue. Don't think they have enough damage to polish him off, but they're certainly trying. The Drain is on, but he's out of range already, and that tower is a far cry from being knocked down, so we'll see how it goes going forward. It looks like Azingi's making some moves back towards mid.
Yeah, Fiddlesticks, especially against tanky members of the team, his ganks aren't potent unless he gets to use that Crowstorm effectively. Now that Fear, you sort of just tether away, it just makes it harder for you to be able to secure kills when you're just running up to him without Crowstorm.
And they know that him and Indivisible are hanging out here in this brush as Environmental just tries to keep everyone off of his tower. Again, the vision control is pretty spectacular here. Yellow Asian Guy, though, is having to contend with both Darkblight and Stunopolis. And, well, he really gets aggressive, but there's no minions to back him up. And now it looks like the call of the moment is to go for the second tier mid. Environmental really can't do much but pop off a couple of his Qs, and he has to move away from that one. So they're going in once again, and I think they could polish this one off.
Yeah, and they just have the fear of Azingi waiting in the wings with that Crowstorm, so they really don't want to commit to wholeheartedly defending this turret, or else they might just lose a couple members of their team because of the Crowstorm, and then they're going to lose even more. So they want to be conservative with how they defend this turret, and I think after this next wave comes, they might think about giving it up unless they get the teleport, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
So teleports traded, but one goes to mid, one goes to bot, and it's going to force a little less aggression here. And it seemed like there was sort of an awkward treaty going on. They weren't really diving for kills. They weren't interested as they had been in that last game, but instead just trying to knock down as many turrets as they can. 2-1 right now in favor of Fission eSports, but they are controlling a little bit better than their counterparts on Call Gaming right now, and Call needs to find something to get back into this. They find a stun on Lucian. Whoa! Environmental flashing in, and he's got his E down, but he's already popped. Has his ultimate gun suspended. IRS doesn't even care, and maybe he should have, because he's caught up right now, and they should be able to take him down. One more shot is all it's going to take, and they jump onto a Zingy as well. This is actually terrible right now for Fission. They finally pick him up, even though he burned the flash, and it's a double kill. Going over to Rockin as they roll towards this tower. 3 kills for 1.
They wasted so many ultimates on just trying to take environmental on that Karthus down. They used the Nami ultimate. They used the Crowstorm, which was not effective at all. And, I mean, they paid for it. Now they just don't have the ability to defend these turrets. They're going to lose this mid-tier turret. And now the gold is just about even. And they lost all that momentum just from one little moment in that game. And it's going to be rough for them to try and gain all that back.
Yeah, expect the unexpected. The unexpected environmental flash wall of pain really put a number on him that time, as it gave just enough time for the teammates to get in there. I'm really surprised IRS actually went in to try and polish off the turret by himself. It seemed like there was some serious miscommunications happening between him and the rest of the team, so they'll have to get that one in order if they want to go in next time. And as you mentioned, they've pretty much lost their advantage. It's only 700 gold up, and the dragon is looming.
Yeah, they're going to have to really rethink their engagements if they're going to want to be able to close out this game. And I mean, you look at the game that we just watched, and they sort of had a similar path. They got a decent lead early on, but it wasn't great. They lost a couple fights in the mid game, but still managed to hold on to control of the game, and they were able to close it out. This time, they just don't have as great of a mid-game team fight comp, so they have to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more precise. And on the other side, Call Gaming, I mean, they seem to be doing everything right, being pretty conservative, trying to hold out to that late game, getting Karthus in Vayne farm and kills where they can. But other than that, just finding opportunities wherever possible.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So they're trying to make a show of force of this here. All 5 members of Call Gaming, despite Rockin being a little bit low, they go on forward, and they are spoiling for a fight. The wall of pain's already down. They're going to try to muscle this dragon out. It's still 20 seconds away, so this might be a bit premature, but they didn't have an exact timer on it, so that can be explained for sure. Indivisible actually taking quite a lot of damage on the backside of getting his wards out. There are a series of pinks throughout this river, and it looks like Call Gaming is looking to push.
Looks like Fission is going to be the ones who are looking to push here.
Well,
that mid-tier
turret
is really low.
But they have to be careful. Darkblade, he's not defending here, not until just now, so they may not have lost that, but they were a little slow to react, as he said. So now Stunopolis having to move away as quick as he can. He gets 1 Q out, able to dodge away from the bubble, and here it goes, the start of the Dragon Dance. Call Gaming moving into position, should start to pick this one up, and this time it's Fission not really looking to contest this. Maybe they go in another time, but they are separated. Abu not in here. They might give this one on up, and they have vision of the waves coming in. They gave up the dragon, but maybe they'll take the fight. Stunopolis is down. His stun didn't really connect for a whole lot. Indivisible, though, might be in some trouble. Yellow Asian guy on the backside going to be able to get some more damage off that. It's a double kill to Abu 2-2-2, and they're going to be able to maybe mop this up, though, on the side of Call Gaming. Abu and Yellow Asian guy are going low. There's the flash. Aurelia still running away. Darkblood actually going to get stunned up, and they pick him off. Lucid now by himself, and let's see if they can get the ace here. It looks like it. That's the ace coming out for Abu 2-2-2, and just like that, he's a 6-0 Syndra.
That is really scary, and Abu 2-2-2 has sort of been on cleanup crew these past couple of games, really just mopping up fights. This is sort of deja vu from the last time. Last time he was on Orianna, this time he's on Syndra, but it just seems like he's always the sole survivor, or one of the sole survivors of these team fights. And that fight looked really bad. They gave up the dragon, and at first it seemed like it was going to be really rough for them. But they got to the backline, were able to pick up Rockin, and by getting an ace, they almost made back the gold that they lost in that situation. So overall, I think it's about an even trade for what those guys went through.
Yeah, what a massive turnaround all these fights have really been, and not just to Abu. I thought you said I thought you were actually talking about Yellow and Asian guy for just a moment, because it was just incredible, that Aurelia play that he was able to pull out, and the comboing at the very end allowed them to pick up not only Dark Blight, but yeah, Lucid as well. So a cleanup effort, even though they gave up the Dragon, which was kind of surprising.
If you can't get off a good Curl Storm for those Dragon fights, it's just really hard to do much of any.
Oh, whoa! Yeah, I think he could be in a little bit of trouble here. He does get the condemn back, gets the heal out, but Rockin', he might go down. Yellow Asian guy, though, caught in a trap. Way too many members of the enemy team all around him, and he can't finish it up. Meanwhile, a turret was picked off up in the top side, but I don't think he counted on that collapse. And Yellow Asian guy just can't pull it out, but they do take 2 turrets anyways.
Yes, that's going to be a win, and it looks like they're going towards the Baron. So that's a bold move, and with this ward, I don't think they should go for this. They do have a pretty good Baron taking comp. Vayne is down the bot lane. They know that the Maokai's teleport is down, but Lucid's
not going to face check this. He's playing it out way too cautiously right now, and the Baron's already at half health. Abu zoning, Stunopolis trying to get his crescendo available. He has flash up if he wants to try and stop it. He's going to try to harass Annoy. Teleport coming in. Yellow Asian guy's back up already. The fight's in. Crowstorm's down. I don't know how this one's going to end, but Abu already picking up a kill. That's Environmental picking a Zingy, though. No smite available. The Baron goes down. It falls in favor of Fission, and it's a double kill for Yellow Asian guy. They're going to find Dark Blight. IRS survives, and they keep on going. They get themselves a 4, for 2 and the Purple Worm. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Rockin' just keeps on going, but it was a 4v5 that they could not expect to win.
Yeah, so that was the bright side out of all that. Rockin' being able to pick up some free from and a turret, but a huge win for Fission there. It was a little bit close. I saw Zingy, he got the early smite off. He was trying to put out as much damage as possible before he went down, but IRS was able to, in the heat of the moment, be able to put a couple auto attacks on the Baron at the last moment to be able to pick it up. But that one was a straight up 50-50 who got that one with both junglers down. It's all about who can get that last hit on it, and Fission's able to do it and pick up some cleanup kills, and now they solidified a bigger lead than they've had so far in this game.
Such a risky move, paying dividends yet again for Fission eSports as they look to start getting a little bit more back into this. Dead even in turrets right now with the answer back from Rockin', but all the same, they've got the Baron buff on at least 3 members, and they'll continue to push forward with this one. Again, a sea of wards pretty much all around that area, so it might be a risk, but it's certainly a calculated one whenever Fission goes for these.
Zingy is very close to that Zonia's Hourglass, which will give him a huge spike in combat potency, just because he'll be able to block a lot of that damage that's going to be able to come out. Abu is 7-0-5 right now, almost a 3 full item Syndra. So he is really scary. If they can protect him in IRS on the back line, and Zingy, once he gets that Zonia's Hourglass, can sort of soak some of the damage for his team, then they should be in a good position. There's a big wave down the bottom lane, and Fission pings it. I'm not sure how fast they're going to be able to get down there, though.
Yeah, well, you can already see Call Gaming has to know this is going on, but there are 5 members deep in this jungle, and if they get a catch on, this could be a lot more than a simple tower. They should converge about the same time. Abu actually going around the back, seeing if he can stop this. He won't be able to. The Piercing Light will deal a little bit of damage, but not enough to leave a scratch on this Call Gaming team, who, despite being down the Baron, are still finding a way to shove Fission back. See if they can keep this going.
This is one of the hardest turrets in the game to defend, just because of how many openings there are for a flank. And with a Fiddlesticks and a Nami, they could just go around the side, throw out the ultimates, and push them off of this turret to be able to get this. We'll have to see what their plan is, though. Zingy is waiting way far in the back.
Oop, they're not going to get enough of a stun on there. Yeah, they don't have a whole lot going on in terms of the wave here. They have to back off of this one since they cleared it so effectively. And Environmental, yeah, he's been coming up pretty huge on this one just from zone control. He lays down one wall of pain across that, and they can't really go through the lane very easily.
Again, Fission doesn't have the greatest siege comp, but they have the ability to hard engage.
Yep, they're going to go for this. They get the stun off onto Environmental. They try to find Dark Blight, but again, it just keeps going back and forth, and when your Baron buff is ticking away, yes, it has some time. I think they've been able to defend this turret. Call Gaming might force them back, but they're not going away just yet. Abu's waiting in that brush.
Zingy is so far back right now. Crowstorm and Flash can cover a big distance.
Oh, they're going to get... Yeah, they keep making individual efforts, but there's just no follow-up, and they're blowing the cover every time. Darklight now is starting to zone out a little bit, and it looks like this is just going to be a Baron call for Fission. They need to get more with this Baron buff, especially with that wave pushing in the mid.
Yeah, they're breaking off for the Dragon now, which is a decent choice, but they really need to sort of play to their power spikes and get turrets when they have the opportunities to. One big thing that I mentioned a little bit ago is Zingy was very close to that Zhonya's Hourglass, and he has a lot of gold in his pocket, 2,400. So that's a lot of unspent power that he has available to him. So he should be able to pick that up. And now they should feel a little bit more comfortable making engagements, and we should see some Crow Storms coming out from Zingy pretty soon.
Yeah, he has kind of been holding off those for just a little while, but the rest of his team has been trying to shore up their advantages. It's only a slim gold lead in their pockets, but you can see the impact players having all that. A Boo 222, as you mentioned, 7-0 on Syndra. What a massive mid lane champion he's really been able to play all across the board today. First Orianna, now this.
He's really been one of the stars of Fission that we've seen. And Baron's still got a couple minutes. Dragon's down. All the outer turrets are down. It's starting to get to crunch time here for both of these teams, and they're sort of on a clock. I mentioned it earlier on. The longer this game goes, the more powerful Karthus and Vayne are going to become. So it's really on Fission right now to find good engagements and make things happen, or else they might just get outscaled completely.
Yeah, well, they lose the Baron buff, and now it is getting a little bit dire here. There are just too many covered areas for them to go for, and they can't afford to give up a massive fight right now. So Call Gaming is doing a fantastic job just continuing this defense, trying to scale into the late game where they have that edge over their opponents. And every time, you know, they see Fission moving somewhere, they answer right on back. Now they're going to go to the split push Aurelia strategy. It might work out. You see Rockin backing away, and he's not making directly for this, but Darkblight is. So it's a 3v4 in the top side, but is Fission confident enough to go for this head-on?
It's going to be rough. They don't have that front line, but they should be able to brute force this with that Crow Storm from Fiddlesticks. I'm not sure if they're going to be bold enough to do that. I think it's going to depend on how effective this split push is down from the bottom lane here from Aurelia.
It doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot of anything right now, as you see Asian guy making moves to just get a couple of wards in there. It doesn't really seem interested in fighting Darkblight, so might even spend his teleport if they can force an engage. But again, Call Gaming has been incredibly passive in this, just defending as best they can, and it's worked so far.
And that's sort of what they need to do. They're playing it the right way. They're playing to their team comp strengths, and the longer they stall, the more chance they have to come back and win this game.
Yeah. So it's hard to crack that shell of the outer turrets, at least the remaining two outer turrets. So they'll keep trying, stealing a couple of buffs along the way. So they have relegated Call Gaming a little further into their jungle. Yeah, there is a little bit of a fight going on the bottom. Asian guy going to jump onto Darkblight. He might have the damage. He is going to get the Randuin's proc just to keep the tree slowed. But is he willing to dive into tower range? Yes, he will. A Zingy, meanwhile, picking off Elemental, so they managed to get 2 kills out the back of it. A Boo still tanking shots. A Zingy still low. Gets popped by the Lay Waste. And it's a double kill going over to Environmental. They answer right back. Indivisible fighting Lucid. The teleport comes in. He's not directing him the right way to go, so it's a 3v2 in this jungle right now. Do they have the chase? Asian guy coming forward. He's got no flash. He's going to try, but the flag and drag away is going to save Lucid's life, and it ends dead even again. Call Gaming has effectively defended.
Wow. It was sort of hard to watch both of those fights at the same time, but it looks like Environmental again just created that wall between the back line and the so-called front line, i.e. Fiddlesticks, for the side of Fission. It seemed to be an okay initiation from a Zingy, but the rest of his team was just being zoned out by the Karthus, and Environmental was able to do enough damage to I Am the IRS in the later portions of that team fight to be able to take him out with the ultimate, and that was a huge deal. Now on the other side of the map, Yellow Asian guy, with the red buff that he stole, he was able to just completely 1v1 Darkblight. He's got no armor items. He built completely Rod of Ages into Spirit Visage, which is not a bad idea considering the magic-heavy team comp of Fission. It's just, he cannot deal with that split push anymore.
And they don't have a teleport as well because of what he spent to get back into that and try to pick off even more. So if they do try to split again, they won't be able to answer the 5v4 that they might find themselves in. So for the moment, sticking together as 5, hanging out by the Baron Pit, thinking about starting it. There is a ward directly on top of it, and they will be able to clear it away. However, there is Rockin and Lucid right behind that brush, so if they are interested in doing it, it will be pretty obvious. Looks like they'll back away after the blue trinket's down.
It was a good attempt at a bait, but the blue trinket really spotted him out. They stood in the corner of the pit, and I am the IRS did that little motion back and forth to sort of simulate that he was attacking the Baron to try and bait them into going in. This is a really interesting call here.
Oh, they're not going to take the bait. They're going to go back and call the bluff. So, or excuse me, they're going to accept it for the time being. Only Azingi sticking around, getting a couple more shots off on his Darkwind, and finally he'll back away too. So it actually was Call Gaming that was bluffing on this, and they're now chasing Azingi throughout his jungle.
Yeah, this was a really great move here by Call Gaming. They got almost complete map control off of that move, and Fission just really did not know how to react to that situation. They don't get too much off of it, but they basically just allow themselves to get more control over the bottom side of the map, buy some more time for Darkblight to get that wave push in the bottom lane, pick up some CS for himself. And they're basically just wasting Fission's time, and that's what they need to do.
Yeah, and it's working out pretty well for them. They have this split push Maokai going on, they have the tele advantage, and they don't really need anything else but that, as you mentioned. Fission looking lost, just trying to contest whatever they can. They might have a lead, but it's dwindling away, and they are losing map control all the while.
Oh, yellow Asian guy coming to 1v1 Darkblight here.
Yeah, well, this ended one way last time, but the tree is up. He has the Vengeful Maelstrom and the Twisted Advance. Meanwhile, Abu, he's going to get caught. Might be in trouble here. Exhaust is down, but here comes Azingi with the Crow Storm, and they managed to pick up Lucid once again. Azingi still has to be careful, though. Very low. Environmental dashing away. Doesn't have the damage. The Drain is on. IRS going to get the kill, and there's the Karthus ult, but it might be too little too late. It's a double kill coming up for I Am the IRS, and Rockin does not want to check into that one. Shutdown Gold. Finally, they polish off Abu, but it is a 3-for-1, and it could be more. Yellow Asian guy chasing on to Darkblight, continuing to keep this fight going, and it looks like all said and done, it might just be a dragon, as Yellow Asian guy makes moves for that one with the rest of his team in tow.
Still a victory, though, for Fission. They only lose one member, and they also pick up an objective out of it, so even though this lead is not getting bigger that quickly, it's still getting bigger, which is a victory nonetheless. So it's going to be tough whether or not they can make the call to go for that Baron safely and be able to pick it up, because it seems like they don't have the ability to straight up go for the turret without that buffer of those extra Baron stats. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, and this is an interesting start here. The Baron for Call Gaming, they're looking to make it happen and just force something. I don't know if this is the smartest move right now, Azuma, but they're certainly forcing some action to happen. The Baron is already down, about half health. You see Indivisible, Asian guy, IRS. Oh, it was all a ruse! Here they go, and they get the jump on, and they absolutely melt IRS and Indivisible, going for Yellow Asian guy. He's so tanky, so sustainable, but they're able to answer him anyways, and they do lose Environmental, but they get a double kill for the Karthus, and this evens things up a bit. Azingi and Abu going to have to attempt to steal here unless they can peel everyone off. Crowstorm not up yet. Unleashed Power is, but they're really thinking long and hard about this Baron. Whoa, the double stuns. Okay, everybody reset, but here we go. EQ combo. Lucid getting feared back. Azingi still on the run, and Abu looks like he's gotten away. Oh, that was so close.
What a valiant defense there by Abu and Azingi, just delaying them enough so that their team can get back up and maybe come in to contest this Baron. But they're just, looks like they're just going to bait it out. This could be really dangerous for Boo. There's some flashes and some ultimates down, but... Whoa!
Oh, he's in trouble. Goodbye. One more shot. Lucid's going to get the kill credit for that one. Azingi going to find himself all alone over by the Baron pit. Still a dangerous threat. Rockin going to try and take this. The flash away, and he gets condemned. Teleport now coming in for Yellow Asian guy, but this has to be canceled. No way was he going to survive that. And they are just running all over the place, trying to figure out what to do. Call Gaming, though, really hasn't capitalized on this. They haven't tried to pick the Baron. They haven't tried to shove the tower with the numbers advantage, so it really has just put gold in their pockets.
Yeah, they actually have a great pick comp here. They have so much burst damage, especially with the Jarvan. This is going to be really up to Azingi to steal this Baron away because they don't have the ability to teamfight here. They don't have a Boo 222 where a lot of gold is funneled onto their team. Azingi's going to be looking for that Crow Storm, and if he can get a smite off, that's going to be really big.
Has to find it perfectly here. He's got no flash available. Everybody is peeling off the Baron, so once again, the distraction maneuver from Fission does succeed, and I cannot believe how this has come so close so many times. But again, the slight lead for Fission. They're playing like they're on the back foot, however, and Call Gaming they just don't seem to be very decisive. They try one thing, they try another, and they thought the Dragon was still up, but unfortunately that gold is already long gone. This is actually going to give Fission a chance to make moves, and they're actually heading towards that Baron, seeing if they can't grab a little bit more vision control back.
Yeah, this is really tense right now. Very back and forth, and this Baron seems to be the main point of contention for both of these guys.
The Crow Storm! They find Environmental! He's already down! They've got the Zanyas on! And Lucid's in trouble. Stunopolis gets the 5-man crescendo, but it doesn't even matter. They will answer back onto a Zingy, but it's already a numbers disadvantage. Get in the cage, says Lucid, but it's already a double kill for Abu. And they completely melt the team of Call Gaming. That's gonna be Baron.
And that's the Crow Storm that we've been waiting for this whole game from a Zingy. Really turning the tide to this game just with one ultimate. And such a tense moment for both of these teams. One team, Call Gaming, had control of that Baron pit, and they were the ones in the driver's seat, but some narrow misses on some of their abilities just barely let Fission Gaming escape with their lives and stall long enough. Then they gain control of the Baron area, and then Zingy has the great Crow Storm to sort of put the nail in the coffin, and now they have a really big gold lead. Again, this is sort of very similar to last game where it was really close, and then Fission breaks it open with a really big Baron fight. And now with that buff, they should be able to look towards making some moves to close this game out.
Yeah, certainly a big play there. If you blinked, you missed it, but a massive Baron pickup on 4 members. The Zingy sacrificing off the perfect Crow Storm to be able to secure that fight and the Baron for his team. A whole lot of waves pushing forward into the second tier bot. They haven't changed, the towers haven't, for quite a while now, but it looks like that might change in a very hard-fought Baron. Fission eSports looking to take the offensive.
Yeah, this is getting pretty big, and now there's some key items built for the side of Fission to be able to deal with a lot of this upfront damage and upfront catch potential from the side of Call Gaming. Abu222 has finished the Zonia's Hourglass. The Bloodthirster is completed for Ion the IRS, which is actually a big deal because it gives you that out when there's nothing to do. Karthus is ultiming, and maybe you can get to a camp or get some last auto attacks in on other members of the team to be able to get that shield. And of course, Indivisible has that Mikhail's Crucible built, so this is a pretty big spike in power with all these items for Fission. So if they're going to close out the game, they probably need to do it soon.
They're certainly trying at this point, all 5 members making moves up to this top side, and that will be spotted out by the pink ward being cleared away right now. Meanwhile, Call Gaming trying to get a Death Brush set up, but nobody on Fission was even interested in that area of the map. There are a couple of turrets here on the outer side that they could crack open, but as you mentioned, the siege really hasn't been that great for them this game.
Yeah, they just don't have that great of a siege comp. They have decent catch with the Cinder Stun and maybe a bubble. But as far as just being able to run in and tank a turret, it's really up to a Zingy to make that choice.
Yep, now they are able to muscle that turret away. So, yeah, I mean, just absolutely getting a little more confidence back. They have Darkblight splitting on the bottom side, but they may need him back in just a moment. This is an incredibly aggressive team waiting for one more wave. Can they afford to wait for Darkblight to shove this one in? He might be able to pick an inhibitor turret if this goes on long enough, but you already see Yellow Asian Guy backing away. We've seen that particular fight happen before, and there's a 737 Aurelia coming for the tree.
I really think that it's probably the best idea for Fission right now to just straight up go for it. Darkblight's probably in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, I think he is right now, and he was in that tower range for just a moment, taking a little bit, and now it's actually going to be Fission that stalls out while they try to get this numbers advantage. He's teleporting. Can he get away in time? Oh, he does! A little bit too low to be able to get the equilibrium strike on, so he gets back to base nice and safe. And now Yellow Asian Guy will have to teleport if he wants to meet his team in a hurry, but I don't think they really are in a hurry, and this is maybe a little bit concerning since they are getting slowly but surely outscaled, Azumo.
I think with this Baron buff, they have pretty decent control over the map, though. They should be able to rotate down to that bottom side, pick up a dragon, and pick up the second tier turret at the bottom side of the map as well, which will really solidify a gigantic gold lead. They should be up 11 to 12k at that point. Baron buff will probably be gone, but they're going to still put themselves in a really good position to close out the game. I think they're a little bit hesitant to make big moves. You can see Zingy's positioning, especially around turrets. He stays really far back. He really wants to be able to get a safe Crow Storm off, and he hasn't really gone for the very aggressive Crow Storm much this game, except for the fight that they won. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do in this next team fight, because if he makes those aggressive moves, they have a really good shot of just being able to win the game from that.
And they were able to peck away that last tower. But yeah, it comes down to how those ultimates are utilized in these fights, and it's so close at this point in the game. Call Gaming needs to hold on a little bit longer if they want to get their scaling in their favor, but so far, Rockin has not really been able to do a whole lot for this team. The stuns from Stunopolis haven't really been particularly spectacular either, and they have to make a stand here, all 5 members on the inhibitor turret. But again, everybody is here, and they're just waiting for the fight that it doesn't really look like Call Gaming is interested in taking.
Yeah, and at this point, it seems like it could be a little tough for them to come back in the game. Rockin, he was forced to build that Bansheesville really early on to be able to deal with those initiations from Indivisible and Azingi without getting locked up too much. Environmental has done a great job of keeping himself in the game, keeping his CS high, making sure that he splits up the team and does as much damage as possible in these fights. But it might just be too little too late, because this gold lead is getting to the point of being insurmountable for these guys from UCLA on Call Gaming.
Rockin has had some trouble here just getting relevant in general. He's not sitting on a lot of AD right now. He hasn't been particularly effective compared to IRS. Yes, he scales better the later the game goes, but I mean, they need him, and they need him now to pretty much be able to do something here, and as a result, they just haven't felt like they could take a fight. To be fair, you probably don't want to check into a Fiddlesticks, but still.
Definitely a fair point. You know, it seems Fission is really focusing on getting the waves under control before they make any bold moves. And you gotta hand it to Darkblight for putting a lot of pressure on the map. Just that sort of discourages them from staying and stalling around too much, because then they're just afraid that they're gonna lose a lot from Darkblight not being there. But now that his teleport is down, they really need to take advantage of it. Well, it's only back up soon, so.
Well, they're gonna back away for the time being. So another siege defended here, and Call Gaming is really trying to keep this game going as long as they possibly can. Non-aggression across the board. This is probably the most peaceful League of Legends team I've ever seen.
Yeah, judging by the kill score, maybe not the most peaceful, but really they've only initiated 1 or 2 fights.
Come on, Azimo.
Yeah,
you can get acquitted for that.
Yeah. They did initiate a couple fights, but they didn't really get many kills, so I guess it doesn't count.
It's still technically peaceful if you don't have any casualties.
Yeah. That won't hold up in court.
No, yeah, probably not. Maybe in the League of Legends, though.
In the Tribunal.
In the Tribunal. Oh, when is the Tribunal coming back?
I have no idea. I won't be in it, though.
High five?
I'm a positive force in League of Legends. I follow the Summoner's Code.
Such a good guy. Well, Ward Wars continue. Indivisible going to try to clear as many of those out. The Baron's coming up in 5 seconds. We're looking at a 3 Baron game. So far, 2 of them to Fission. They could go for this one. They have the damage, and it looks like they're going to start it. Terrain's already on, and they have to know this is happening. It's so telegraphed every time Call Gaming has a sense of where they're going, but the Baron is already going down. It might be too little too late, and they get the wave out. Here they're going to take the fight. The calling is on. Lucid, front taking the damage, but how long can he hold out? He's going to get the jump on, but he's already down. Asian guy going to pick him up. Abu staying alive, flashing away. They keep on going, and they'll find the fight. Environmental going down. IRS gets picked off, and that is Stunopolis. One more shot is all it's going to take. Never mind, IRS actually survived. What am I talking about? Indivisible chasing Stunopolis all the way through. It's supportal combat, but how long can it last? This is nearly the ace, and you can see them making moves for this top right now. It's all going to be at least an inhibitor at this point. They're still chasing. Run, Sona, run! Indivisible is right behind you.
Yeah, this battle could go on for a while. Oh my goodness.
Let's go down to the inhibitor.
Let's go down to the inhibitor turret. Okay, yellow Asian guy.
Let's move that way. So a lot of crit damage. I spoke too soon. I thought IRS was already dead, but because he stayed alive in that fight, because it ended up being a 3-for-4 to be continued, they're going to pick off 1 tower. Should be able to get the inhibitor from here, but they don't have too many waves anywhere else. And the death timers are ticking away. I think they're going to back away from this one. Try to play it out safely as they can. Stunopolis still sustaining the damage. And this might be the longest fight I've seen in a while, but it should be about over.
I don't know about that. Oh, finally Indivisible picks up the kill.
You doubted the Nami.
All right. Well, yeah, the Guardian Angel from IRS really was able to do a lot in that fight, because he was able to come back, help pick up the kill. And without that, they probably wouldn't have been able to get that inhibitor turret, and that inhibitor with Yellow Asian guy only up by himself. So big defensive item pickup, and I like that choice against Sakarthus. Now, that was a really rough fight from both sides, actually. I don't think that Fission got the initiation that they wanted to. It looked like a pretty clean fight after the fact, But with that Baron buff and the head-on engage and funneling the entire team of Call Gaming, it seems like they should have had a little bit better time. But with that Baron buff, they should be able to make some moves to close this one out. They got the first inhibitor down, so they're in a really great spot now.
Well, and yeah, poking that one away is going to give them an edge to try to push on this bot side. You know, the turret fully healed up. They really didn't poke that much on it. They haven't really been interested in the middle, so this is pretty telegraphed this whole time where Fission is going to go. But at the same time, you have a gaping hole right now in your defenses, and you need someone there almost constantly pushing away those super minions. Otherwise, they will wear you in. And here comes 4 members of Fission while Yellow Asian guy moves down the mid side. So they're not going to dive on this one. It really hasn't been the story of the game so far, even when they do get those stuns out. But it's been pretty much a distraction maneuver. Here's the split push Aurelia, Yellow Asian guy, trying to draw a little bit of attention. He actually draws the entire team, so this might be a chance. Well, most of the team. Lucid and Environmental are still here. Stunopolis coming back, but everybody on Fission kind of hesitated there.
Yeah, they didn't have the wave, so that was a little bit poor timing. They had one wave hit the mid turret as one wave was dying at the bot turret. But once this super minion wave comes up from the top, the pressure from bot, mid, and the super minions from the top side of the map will be probably a little bit too much for Call Gaming to handle, and should open up a couple windows for Fission to be able to get some solid damage onto these turrets. And it looks like this is going to be that chance. Yeah. Maybe not.
No, they're going to try to siege this one up, but you know, there are super minions that need dealing with right now. It's kind of like being flanked by a 6 party. Unfortunately, that AI will just melt down after a while. They'll be able to poke it away. But again, Fission seems not super confident in their ability to dive forward. It's 46.5 minutes into this game, and even when they're landing those skill shots, they just don't want to take the straight fight. Maybe this is the chance. Environmental, the Wall of Pain was down, so he did answer back despite being caught up in the stun, but they don't want to poke this tower too hard. They don't want to take the damage from it, and they're still trying to split with Yellow Asian guy.
Eventually they could be able to whittle these turrets down, but Call Gaming is putting up a pretty valiant defense. We've mentioned multiple times this game, in this almost 50-minute game, that the siege composition from Fission just isn't that strong. They have the ability to go for those dives with the Fiddlesticks Crowstorm, but they just haven't pulled the trigger on any of those thus far this game, and that's why we've seen 50-minute game. And they're really scared that this Vayne Karthus combination is just going to ace them, and they're going to lose even with the big lead that they have. So they're playing it conservatively. They're going to wait it out, and probably the smarter choice.
Yeah, at this point, it's really hard to tell when the later game scaling does come into play, but all the same, Call Gaming should get more and more emboldened by the minute to maybe push outside their own base and see if that can happen. They have an incredible amount of wave clear. The inhibitor's about to come back up. Now is the time to move if you want to as Fission, excuse me. I'm getting my teams mixed up. It's so long. The Baron's not even going to be up just yet. 2 more minutes on that one, but they are already moving in that direction, try and clear out some more jungle. But once again, it's been defended, and Call Gaming this time is keeping it that way. There is an open inhibitor, though, back and available for the taking.
The longer this game goes, the less and less that goal lead is going to matter. Once these guys approach full builds, having a 15k gold lead is the same as having a 1k gold lead.
Oh, this could be some trouble. Stunopolis with the crescendo. Environmental, he's low. Abu, there are so many Zanyas, there's so many ults, and that's going to be another pickup. Abu, he's going down, but it actually looks like Call Gaming finds the better of this fight. IRS and Indivisible running as fast as they can. The bubble is on, and they take it 3 for 2, and that is exactly what Fission didn't want to happen, and they defend once again. Call Gaming coming up, evening it out just a little bit more.
Oh, and I'm the IRS is going for a little bit of an aggressive move. Both of the main damage dealers are dead, so they might be able to 2-man this. It's going to be tough. They do have the Guardian Angel, but I think they are going to play it safe, back off. Baron is up in a minute, so both teams will have a decent position on that Baron. But again, right now, I think this game is pretty much dead even. It's all going to be able to come. It's all going to come down to who's going to come out on top of these fights, who's going to get the better initiations. And you can see right there, Environmental not afraid to flash in, throw that exhaust down, and just do as much damage as possible. And that's exactly what they need. If they're the ones getting initiated on, it's really hard for Environmental to get where he needs to be before he falls down. And Azingi had to use a reactive Crowstorm there, which is so much worse than a proactive one, just because all the CC and all the damage is so much delayed. You can't soak that damage for your team so early on in that fight, and they just weren't able to pick it up.
Yeah, it's It's been rough to check into this team, and they are just slowly losing a war of attrition. It may look like they're ahead. They've been the aggressors. They have the massive lead, but as you said, it just doesn't matter. It's 50 minutes into this game. I feel like this is going to be decided at Baron.
And both teams got to be really cautious with how they approach that Baron, though, because that's the downfall of a lot of these challenger games. It all comes down to who has better positioning around that big purple worm. So
it's live.
Indivisible flirting with disaster.
It's close. The ults are just about back up. There's a few key summoners still down on the side of Fission, so they have to be extremely careful here. Wards are cleared out as Call Gaming gets a little bit more confidence that they can push out this one. They have all their inhibitors. They have some towers still left. And here they go. Stunopolis actually leading the charge and gets a little bit of poke, and you can see some bad blood between the supports this game.
I can imagine that Fission's going to want to hold off this Baron fight for as long as they possibly can, so Aurelia down in the bottom lane could get those waves pushing, maybe get some damage onto that inhibitor turret, maybe even take an inhibitor for himself, because right now I know that they're scared to go for a head-on fight because of what just happened with that last fight that we saw. So, actually, Yellow Asian guy actually backs off. Waiting in base, might want to teleport. He could go for a flank here. They do have the deep ward, but that's going to be a really risky move.
Yeah, so Azumo, you know this team Fission reasonably well. You know Abu 222. What do you think is going through their minds at this point in the game? Like, why have they been playing this out so passively when they know that their opponents will just get stronger and stronger?
I can imagine it's pretty chaotic. The one thing when I even asked their team what they had trouble with, it was closing out games. And you can tell just in the way that they're playing, they're a little bit scared that they're going to throw a game with a bad initiation. And that's why Zingy has positioned himself very defensively, even when they have the Baron buff, even when they have a huge lead. It just seems like he's really trying super hard to make sure that he doesn't get caught out. Oh, this is going to be a definite Baron take for Call Gaming.
Totally sneaky, no vision control whatsoever. Fission's going to give this one up, and there you go. This Baron going over in favor of Call Gaming, and they're running on the chase now. Abu, he's in trouble. The stun's on. He's going to get Zanya'd up. And Zingy, he's in the picture trying to make a fight happen, but they still have to be so careful. Zingy getting one pick onto Lucid. They might just turn this fight, even with the Baron buff. Wow, the three-man bubble. Zingy, he gets Zanya. He's going to go down, though. One more shot from Environmental. Yellow Asian guy staying alive. Dark Blight's a double kill for IRS. They're still going forward, and everybody's low. One double kill. How many more can we get?
Whoa!
Down. It's a quadra for IRS.
And he's going to teleport down to this bottom inhibitor turret. There's a huge wave down there. He should be able to pick up at least the turret and the inhibitor. I don't know how far these three guys are going to be able to go. These death timers are really long. Lucid, the first person to fall in that fight, is still down for 40 seconds. I would think that they're going to look for a close.
I think they can do it absolutely true right now. And as we said, this fight, this game looks like it's being decided at the Baron Pit right now. Abu just going to run on the way through. You don't even need those inhibitors. You've got one in the bottom. Go for this one. 20 seconds left on anybody to get back into this game. And finally, at 53 minutes, it's going to end. Fission eSports will be in the Black Monster Cup round of 16, and we'll see them play for seeding next game.
What an impressive performance by these guys. It was a little shaky at times. It took them a while to close it out, but they had a lead. They stuck with it, and both of these guys, really fun to watch. I mean, you got to hand it to Call Gaming, too. They held off for so long, and some of those fights at the end were just nail-bitingly close. And at the end of the day, Fission just comes out on top, but both of these guys played really well, and it was a fun game to watch.
Yep. So at the end of the day, that is going to be Fission moving on once again. A much closer game this time against Call Gaming, but they will move on to the next round to play for seeding against Phyrexian Dawn, who took out Standby Phase. So we'll be getting you guys that in just a moment. But again, for those of you asking, I know we have a little bit of outdated commands on our little chat interface. So Azumo, thank you so far for casting this one with me. That is, of course, at AzumoQT if you want to find his Twitter. I'm Pyrotechnic, so we'll get that updated in just a little bit. But, guys, we'll be going to a quick commercial break. So don't go anywhere. You're still watching the Black Monster Cup Winter Qualifiers.